As a child, we probably all been scared wondering what is in the closet or what's under the bed. Most likely, your mom or dad probably told you that everything was alright and that there was nothing that was going to harm you. Most of the time, that would be correct. For Annie and Jessica Andrews though, the answer would be a whole lot more terrifying. Before diving in too deep into this week's story, we should probably tell you about the man responsible for this horrific story. Daniel Laplante was born on May 16, 1970 in Townsend, Massachusetts. Unfortunately for Daniel, he had a miserable, traumatic childhood, during which he was allegedly abused physically, psychologically and sexually by his father and stepfather, which would most likely mess anyone up mentally. He soon sought the help of a psychiatrist hoping to help him, but after seeing the doctor for a year, it was reported that he too started abusing the boy sexually. He also struggled at school with both his grades as well as trying to fit in with his peers. He had dyslexia, which made learning very hard for him, but he also had severe acne, in which he was very self-conscious about. On top of all of that, he was never really taught anything about self-hygiene, such as brushing your teeth, taking a shower or changing your clothes regularly, so most people avoided him at all costs. Those few who did speak to him usually made fun of him or bullied him. Daniel was slowly becoming a ticking time bomb, and no one was really trying to do much about it. Because he didn't have any friends and because of his messed up head, he found thrills in breaking into people's homes while they were gone. The focus wasn't on robbing anyone, but more that he loved to go through people's things and mess with their heads by moving things around. That's probably what focused his attention on the Andrews girls. It's likely that he at some point in time had gotten into their home, and saw a picture of Annie. It's also how he probably got her phone number. In those days, there was no Facebook or Instagram. People would meet each other through friends of friends, and it wasn't uncommon for people to just call you up and start a friendship that way. That's exactly what happened one day when Annie got a call saying that he had heard about her through a friend. The young man on the phone described himself as blonde, athletic and handsome, and asked her out on an ice cream date. When Daniel showed up, he was nothing like he had described himself on the phone. To say she was disappointed would have been an understatement. Still, she did the best she could to be polite and went on with the date, making an excuse to cut it short to get home. She never intended on seeing him again. He had really creeped her out with a lot of questions about her dead mother, in particular asking all types of questions about how badly she suffered during her final hours. She couldn't wait to get away from this guy and get back home. Brian Andrews and his two daughters, Annie, who was 15, and Jessica, who was only 8, had recently lost their wife and mother to cancer. The family decided to settle in Townsend and do the best they could to lead a normal life. Brian, being the sole provider for the family, now had to work much longer hours now as a result. He decided to allow Annie to babysit her younger sister instead of trying to hire someone. Very soon after allowing this arrangement, the girls decided to try to contact their mother using a Ouija board. They decided to light candles and have a seance. As they began to ask it questions, they began getting replies, not from the board itself, but from knocks on the wall. They would ask it, "Is this our mom?" And the reply would come in form of the knock. The girls became very excited, at first that is. The tapping would only happen when their father was either at work or asleep. Other than that, it would be almost a non-stop thing. It was starting to get on the girls' nerves. Even worse, it was starting to frighten them. Soon, they began to think that their experience with the Ouija board had brought in an evil spirit. They told their father, and needless to say, he didn't believe them. One night, they heard noise coming from the basement. The girls bravely picked up a large kitchen knife and walked down the steps, only to see what looked like blood on the wall, and in it was the words, "I'm in your room, come find me." The girls ran to their nearest neighbor's house and stayed there until their father came home from work. He was absolutely furious at the girls. He thought that they were making it all up and that maybe they needed grief counseling or some kind of mental help. The poor girls felt terrible that their own father didn't believe them. The police were called to check the home, but found no one inside. About 2 weeks went by and it was fairly quiet until one night while Brian was at work, the girls heard knocking in Annie's room. Again, they picked up their knife and went to investigate only to find more words written on the wall that said, "I'm back, come find me." Again, the girls ran to their neighbor's house who was very sympathetic to the girls. When their father got there, he was more than a little irritated. He still didn't believe them and thought that they were making it all up. Still, he told them that he would prove there was nothing there. He walked over to his home and as he walked up the stairs, he saw the messages written in what looked like blood. There was another one that said, "Marry me." The way his girls had acted and as scared as they were, he began to think that maybe someone was indeed messing with them. Out of the corner of his eye in a dark hallway, he spotted something moving and coming at him. Much to his disbelief was what appeared to be a teenage boy wearing his dead wife's wedding dress, waving an axe at him. Brian ran from the house in terror and called the police from his neighbor's phone. As it turns out, Daniel had actually been in their home the entire time. He was living under their staircase and in their attic and even behind their walls where he had made peepholes to spy on the girls. He saw them trying to communicate with their dead mother and tormented them, letting them think that they had contacted her. What a jerk! They came and arrested Daniel and he was convicted and sentenced to 10 months due to being a minor. He was 16 at the time. Should have been the end of the story, but sadly it wasn't. In October 1987, Daniel's case was transferred from juvenile court to adult court. The fact that he was being charged as an adult meant he could post bail, which his mother helped him with. He was then free to leave the juvenile detention facility. When he got out, he was not reformed at all. In fact, now he was hell-bent on murder this time. On the first day of December of 1987, he had armed himself with a stolen handgun and walked a half-mile down to the home of the Gustafson family, which consisted of 34-year-old Andrew, his wife 33-year-old Priscilla and their 2 children 7-year-old Abigail and 5-year-old William. Priscilla was pregnant with the couple's 3rd child. The family was well liked by everyone who knew them. Andrew was an attorney and Priscilla worked as a daycare worker at her church. They had just finished putting up all of the Christmas decorations on their home and had gotten their tree and decorations up, but would never get to enjoy their Christmas that year thanks to Daniel Laplante. Andrew was at work when Daniel came walking through their front door, armed with a pistol. After a struggle, he forced Priscilla into her bedroom where he beat and sexually assaulted her before putting a pillow over her head and shooting her through it to muffle the sound. He then found the 2 young children and drowned them in the bathtub. Andrew came home to find the horrifying sight of his wife deceased, and ran from the home to call the police. They came and found the children in the stolen .22 as well as a footprint outside. It wasn't long before they figured out who had done it. When they went to Daniel's home, some of the Gustafson family belongings were in his possession. At first, he denied knowing anything about it, but as they went to question him a second time, he took off on foot and kidnapped another local woman, forcing her to drive him to get away from law enforcement. Thankfully, she managed to somehow escape with her life and called police to tell them Daniel was in her van. They found him on December 3rd, hiding in a dumpster at a lumberyard in Ayer, Massachusetts, about 11 miles southeast of Townsend. As the officers were arresting him, he began laughing hysterically. They found another .22 pistol hidden in his underwear. His trial began in October of 1988. He showed little to no remorse at all, only laughing at times. Daniel was found guilty on all counts after about 5 hours of deliberation by the jury. The judge sentenced him to 3 life sentences, to be served consecutively. He is currently incarcerated at NCI Norfolk Prison in Norfolk, Massachusetts. While incarcerated, he's been a royal pain in the ass and a headache to the system. Among some of the things he's been up to, in 1993, Daniel appealed his conviction on the grounds that the search warrants of his home should not have been granted. It was the evidence found there that evidently proved his guilt. His appeal was denied. In 2000, he requested that he be moved for his safety after receiving threats from other prisoners. His request was granted, and he was segregated from other inmates. However, he sued the Board of Prisons for not allowing him access to the library. He was no longer allowed access because he was segregated. He received $450 for his rights being denied. Another frivolous lawsuit came when porn, which is contraband that someone sent him in the mail, was confiscated. In 2013, he sued again when he claimed his religion was being denied. He apparently became a Wiccan and demanded that he be brought various oils and even carrot cake. You can't make this stuff up, folks. This is why they should have simply hung him like they did in the old days. Anywho, after serving 30 years of his sentence, he again filed another appeal. The family of the Gustafsons came to court to strongly oppose this from happening. Daniel apologized, saying, "I do not have the words to fully express my profound sorrow. But I am truly sorry for the harm that I've caused. From the very essence of who I am, from the depths of my soul, I am sorry." Thankfully the judge, nor anyone else bought it. He was resentenced to his original 3 life sentences. He will very likely die in prison where he belongs. Wow, talk about a boogeyman story! Hopefully none of you live near anyone like this where you live. If you liked today's story, please consider helping out our channel by giving us a thumbs up. It would mean the entire world to us if you would subscribe to our channel and hit the bell notification for future stories. If you'd share our stories on social media, or even just telling your friends and family at work or school, we'll consider you a friend for life. Our social media links are in the description box below. You can like or follow us there, and even check out our merch shop where you can pick up an awesome t-shirt or other form of merch, which makes great gifts, I might add. Hope to see you next week. Till next time.